Okay, so the mistrial has been declared, and what is your reaction to that?
Well, so I'm certainly glad that at a minimum, that on the two most serious counts, there was a mistrial declared. Of course, we were hoping for a not guilty verdict on those. I still believe that that would have been the correct verdict, but obviously this jury worked very hard over 8 days deliberating. Certainly, I think even in and of itself, if you can talk about something for 8 days, that's inherently indicative of reasonable doubt, but I respect their process, and I know they worked hard, so we're glad that we got a mistrial on those two most serious counts. As to, the conviction on the least serious of the 3 counts, I still have a difficult time reconciling that with the disposition of the other 2 counts, but again, I have to respect the jury's verdict at this point. We'll assess our options going forward on that, but I'm very glad today that at least for now, this weight has been lifted from Frank Nucera's shoulders. He's held his head high throughout this process. He's handled it with grace and dignity, and I'm glad the jury, at least some of the people on the jury certainly saw it our way, and I think it was a good number of people.
Despite the mistrial, your client is now a convicted felon, and his name has been linked with racist comments attributed to him. How does he begin to even repair his reputation while he awaits whether he's going to be retried?
Well, certainly, obviously that's important to anyone, but the most important focus are the criminal charges. That's always been our focus. Mr. Nucera has always, regretted making those statements, as I told the jury. They're not pleasant comments, certainly. They're ugly and embarrassing comments, but he's moved past them. He's moving forward in his life, and he's trying to put this chapter behind him.
Mr. Nucera, do you have anything to say for yourself at this point?
On my advice, he's not going to speak. There's still the possibility of a retrial on charges, and so on my advice, it's not appropriate for him to speak at this time.
There's some confusion about whether your client is he entitled to a pension now that he's a convicted felon? What do you know about that?
I'm not his pension attorney. We'll have to wait until that process plays out, and I'm certain that he'll, deal with that in due course of time, but our focus has been the criminal charges, and most importantly, obviously, and we'll deal with the pension issues separately.
I know there's a potential retrial, but was there anything surprising about the government's case, or any weaknesses that you thought existed there?
I think there are a lot of weaknesses that did exist and still exist in the government's case. I think even more so now, given that I've had the opportunity to cross-examine the government's key witnesses. They remain inconsistent with each other, with themselves. There's a substantial lack of corroboration, and even, you'll recall, the jurors asked a question about one of the videos in the cell block where Mr. Stroy says his head was kneed into the wall by a police officer when they were apprehending him. That could not have been Frank Nucera. So there's a lot of doubt in my mind, and I believe that doubt will persist, and I absolutely believe that there is inadequate proof of these allegations.
Rocco,
Just to recap, because just your opening statement in terms of your reaction to the overall verdict.
Again, I'm glad that the jury, at a minimum, was deadlocked on the 2 most serious counts. I think there's ample reasonable doubt, but for now, we're happy with a mistrial. I think that's, in some sense, a victory for the defense. It shows that